The following program was produced by an independent community producer. The opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of the ECAT staff or board of directors.
Community Forum is sponsored by the Easton Grange 196 and a friend of Yardley Wood Rink and the Easton Lions Club.
There's a storm across the valley. The clouds are rolling in. The afternoon is heavy on your shoulders. There's a truck out on the 4-lane, a mile or more away. The whining of his wheels just makes it colder.
Welcome to Community Forum. I'm Priscilla Almquist-Olsen, your host. Today is December 17th, 2024, and it's my great pleasure to welcome Susan Perreault, whose dad is a townie, and Peter, and brother of our colleague Mark Cardoza. So Susan, welcome to Community Forum.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure. Now, we met at the holiday fair,
Yes.
and you were there showing your handmade creations.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about those creations.
So I make Snuggle Bucket Plush, which is a line of stuffed animals that are sensory friendly, which means they feature a variety of different textures, and also many of them are weighted, which makes them a comfort item.
Okay, so having different textures is interesting because small infants and toddlers, that's how they feel everything, they touch everything.
Yes.
And so what does that help them with?
So in my mind, it's not really, I mean, toddlers love them and that's great, but in my mind, I think of them more as an item for people who have anxiety or they're neurodivergent in some way, where having different sensory input or their preferred sensory input can provide a source of comfort or a tactile input.
Okay, well that's interesting, that the comforting aspect. So little kids who might be a little nervous or have a bit of anxiety or are a little timid or so forth, they can get more confidence and probably become much more peaceful, at ease with themselves.
Yes, definitely. One of the reasons I started making them is because my son has anxiety, and he always has a stuffed animal with him. He always brought it to school. To this day, everywhere he goes, he'll bring one. So I sort of had that. I had him in mind when I was doing that.
Yeah, okay, so you grew up in Taunton.
I did, yes.
Tell us a little bit about your childhood, and were there any influences besides your son now that prompted you to be on this path of creativity?
So I've always done some sort of craft. The biggest event in my mind is when I was 13. My grandparents got me a teach yourself to knit kit, and that really stuck. And since then, fiber arts has been a huge part of my whole personality. I don't even remember learning to crochet or sew. I just have always done them. So these ones are sewn, and then I added crochet ones to my lineup. It just felt like a natural progression.
Yeah, now the crochet ones are so interesting.
Yeah.
Because the texture and also the visual aspect
Yes.
of them, they're really nubby, aren't they?
They are, but I also use different types of yarn for them as well. So among the crochet range, there are different textures depending on what you want to.
Wow, wonderful, right. So tell me, what have been your challenges?
I think my biggest challenge is, self-doubt, I guess, in making them. Especially for the sewn ones, they take a lot of time and a lot of material, and the material is expensive, so the price point is high. They're like an art piece, almost. So it's kind of hard for me to grapple with, why someone would want to choose my product over someone else's who's also making art. But I mean, it comes down to what their preferences are as well.
And also, doesn't it come down to what their concerns for their children are?
Yes, certainly. But actually, for the sewn ones, because they're a little bit of an investment piece, I find my customers are primarily adults who are either collectors of handmade stuffed animals or who they themselves have anxiety or a neurodivergence in some way, and they help them as well.
So that's one of the highlights of doing this business, isn't it?
Yes, definitely.
The satisfaction that you get from people who are overjoyed with the product.
Yes, of course.
And so tell me, how long does it take for you to make, say, this, is that a bunny over there?
He's a moose.
Oh, it's a moose. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
I was wondering about those ears.
Yeah. He took a long time. He took probably 6 hours. But that's atypical for crochet. I try to keep smaller products so that I can have a variety of price points so they're accessible to everyone. Typically, the smallest ones can take me 20 minutes up to, I mean, that little dog probably took 2 hours. That's the typical range.
And this is a dog, isn't it?
He is a dog, yes.
Oh, good. Oh, I'm so glad I recognized you. Yes. Oh, and he's got brown eyes.
He does, yes.
What do you know? Oh, and it feels so great.
Those were very popular at the craft fair, especially with little kids. They're like the perfect size for
little toddlers.
hugging, yeah.
Yes, right. Woo. Okay. And tell me a little bit about these guys, because it's a fake fur, isn't it?
It is, yes. That's a minky. It's called minky fabric. So it's very soft. There's a variety of textures within the minky fabric. If you were to look at their stomachs, those feel different than the rest of their body.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And so what people are attracted for different reasons. What are some of those reasons?
The biggest one, I think, especially online, is people collect this type of product, or again, they use them for their mental health in some capacity.
I see. So how are you promoting your business? What kind of marketing do you do?
That's admittedly not my strongest part, but I do Facebook and Instagram, and I have a website where I sell them. And then I just started in October doing in-person markets so that I can meet people.
Oh, nice.
While I do it, yeah.
And so you must have business cards that people can take and share with their
I
friends?
do, yeah.
Good. So what is the response online?
It's been incredibly supportive. The community of people who are collectors, it's a relatively small community compared to other niches, but they're incredibly supportive. They love buying from small artists. It's a really good community.
Oh, that's great. So you're getting a lot of support in that way.
Yes, definitely.
And how about your family? How are they supportive, and what do they contribute at all?
So I make everything, but my husband will stay up with me labeling and packaging and everything. My son loves to help me test them, obviously.
Your son, I hear, is 6 years old.
He is 6, yes. And my parents and my in-laws show up to all my festivals, and they help me set up and help me vend and everything. So everybody's been awesome.
So that was your mother there?
That was my mom, yeah.
Okay. At the festival at the
Yes.
Oaks Ames Memorial Hall, our annual holiday festival. So where are you appearing next?
My next one is a Valentine's Day event in Weymouth at a brewery called Barrel House Z.
What's it called?
Barrel House Z.
Barrel House
Z.
Z?
The letter Z, yes.
The letter Z.
Yep, in Weymouth.
In Weymouth. Barrel House Z in Weymouth.
And then throughout the year, I do online updates, usually based on a theme. I just put this one out last week. This is Woodland Winter. So it's all forest friends with cozy holiday vibes.
I see.
And in the new year, I'm hoping to do things like a trendy drop. So animals like axolotls that are very popular right now.
What are they?
Like axolotls.
What are those?
They're like a weird fish. They have, and
Oh,
they're popular with kids because they're in a video game.
I see.
So I'm hoping to do some trendy animals like that. And yeah, just different themes throughout the year.
Now, how did you come to name your business Snuggle Bucket Plush?
Oh, that's what I used to call my son when he was little. He was very snuggly.
Oh, you called your
He
son
said, "You're such a snuggle bucket."
Snuggle Bucket Plush.
Yeah.
Oh, you called him a Snuggle
I
Bucket.
called him a snuggle bucket, yes.
Oh, okay, Snuggle Bucket. Okay, and Plush is goes to these fellas right here, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, the Plush. And which do you enjoy most making?
They're so different that I prefer different ones at different times. Mm-hmm. Sewing is such a dedicated, I have to have a dedicated space and I have to have a certain amount of hours to sit down and get it all done. But crochet is different in that I can sit on the couch with my family and work on it. So it really just depends on what the vibe is that day.
But you don't have any pattern to go by. You do this all, it's your own creativity.
So the sewing is my own pattern. The crochet, I use other people's patterns to make them. There's so many talented crochet artists who put patterns out. And I love being able to support them as well while I'm making them. Although in the new year, one of the things I'm hoping for is I hope to start making some of my own patterns as well.
Yeah. Now, for people to get, if I were to Google and find you, what would be the words I would use?
Snuggle Bucket Plush.
Okay, Snuggle Bucket Plush.
Yes.
Okay, and what is your website?
It is snugglebucket.com.
Oh, so just drop the plush, just have snugglebucket.com.
You can say snugglebucketplush.com as well. They'll
they're
take
both-
you to the same place.
Okay, oh, that's great. Well, your son Henry must love this.
He does. He tries to steal quite a few of them.
Oh, I bet he does. All right, he's only 6, right?
Yes.
Right. Oh, that's
Yeah.
the perfect age to steal things.
It is.
Yes. But does he ever do you encourage him to bring anything to school to show his classmates and friends?
He has, but I don't ask him to bring my stuff.
Yeah.
He can, if he wants to, that's fine. But
So do you ever use him in photo ops and to promote your business?
I try to keep him off the internet. I think that's
Yes,
a
I
little
think
safer.
That, Susan, is a very healthy idea. I agree with you on that. Yeah. So what are your future plans?
So right now I have a little break from doing markets in person. So I'm hoping to just experiment with some new products. I know online people have asked for larger versions of these. And I would also like to make a smaller handheld version as well. So I think for now I'm just going to do some experimenting and see what works best to implement once the festival season starts again next year.
Yeah. And what about during the summer? There must be plenty of outdoor fairs or markets. Do you ever go to farmers markets?
I just started doing in-person markets, so I haven't done that yet, but it's certainly on the table.
Yeah, I mean, because there are lots of farmers markets and they have all kinds of things that aren't food
Yes.
related.
Yes.
So that would be a perfect opportunity for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So but are you keeping yourself in Bristol County or are you going wider than that?
No, I go all over. I went to Maine in October.
Really?
Yes, I did the York Harvest Festival, which was a lot of fun.
Which one?
York? York.
Oh, York.
Yes.
York, yes. Okay, so that's not too far from here.
No,
No.
just a couple hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm willing to go all over.
So even California?
No. I mean, I guess.
So is this your full-time occupation?
I'm mostly a stay-at-home mom, and I also do freelance communication work. But this takes up a good chunk of my time. Yes.
Yeah. Now, you were telling me before we went on the air that you worked at Mass Eye and Ear, and
Yes.
you were in their communications department?
Yes.
Oh, what kind of work did you do?
I worked with a lot of the scientists in the ophthalmology department to edit their journals so that they could get them published. I did newsletters, website work, a lot of copy editing.
So really corporate communications.
Yeah, and scientific communication.
Yeah, scientific.
Yes.
Right. So has that lent itself to this new business model?
Well, I went to school for writing, so I think having that background is useful for most everything.
Yes, especially marketing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And so what was your major?
It was called Writing, Literature, and Publishing.
I see. And where
Yes.
was that?
Emerson College.
Oh, Emerson, of course. The premier communication school.
Yes.
Where so many prominent filmmakers and writers and broadcasters have gone, right?
Yes, I had a lot of fun there.
Oh, I bet you did. Wow. What prompted you to pick Emerson and to pick this particular area?
When I was in school, a lot of teachers told me that I was good at writing, so I just ran with that.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Okay. Well, I'm interested because I was, in one of my former lives, I was a creative writing teacher.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, yeah. And my son he got that creative gene, and he's a Hollywood film producer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah. And I'll put a little promotion in. He's in Rome right now, prepping for his next movie called Free Fall.
Awesome.
Yeah. So watch for that one. Free Fall. Yeah, I'll give you a hint. Rock climbing. Anyway, but it has a nice theme, and I think people are going to like it. So tell me, what you want to expand the business? You're open to new ideas. You're looking at probably patterns from other people to give you those ideas, as well as the trendy video games and movies for children, where the
Yeah, that's one of the ideas.
Yeah,
But I don't have a clear idea of where we're going just yet, so I want to try some things while I have the time and figure out what works best and
right.
what makes me happiest doing it.
Yeah, and speaking of being happy, what does make you the happiest in terms of this business? Oh, you can expound on other things, but
No, it makes starting to do in-person markets. My absolute favorite thing is watching kids come and fall in love with one particular one, and they can't leave it behind. And especially my favorite is when kids are a little older or even teenagers, and they'll come up and fall in love with something and like beg their parents for it. And their parents don't really know what to say because their kid's, a teenager. They're not usually into those sort of things.
Yeah.
But it's so fun to kind of see like that inner child come back.
yes, the child is still within.
Yeah, when everyone's growing up so fast, it's really nice to see someone fall in love with like a teddy bear. So.
Right, instead of makeup.
I mean, that's fine too, but it
Yeah.
is nice. It is nice to
Right.
be able to
Yeah.
see that.
So which of the models, now you brought a lot of them here, which is your favorite?
I do love the sewn ones. If I'm going to make one for myself, it is usually the sewn ones.
Which ones?
These ones.
Oh, what do you call them?
Sewn. I sew them
Oh, sewn.
as opposed to crochet.
I see, yes.
But it's hard to pick. I like sea turtles as well because they're very floppy and they're nice to hold. Usually whatever I'm working on right now is my favorite.
Is your what?
Is my favorite. Whatever I'm working on at the moment.
Oh, at the moment. Now, tell me, why are these plush sewn ones weighted?
That's an additional comfort thing. If you hold on to it, I'm sorry, it feels like, almost like holding on to a baby. There's a certain pressure there that is soothing.
I see. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not just to keep it upright.
No, I mean, that's a perk. But no, it adds a very soothing element.
I see. So, did you start this business once you decided to stay home with your newborn, or was it something that happened before that?
No, he was probably 4 when I started. He got really into stuffed animals. And where I always make things and craft things, I love to make whatever people are into at the moment. So when he was really into stuffed animals, I started wanting to make them. And at first they did not turn out very well. I gave most of them to my dog, who loved them. But then they sort of grew until I was better at it.
Yeah. So it was a learning process.
Yeah, for sure.
And tell me, give me a list, if you can, of the animals that you have produced and are offering for sale.
Sure. So they sell out pretty quickly, so I don't always have a huge offering on my website.
No, but those that you have created and could create.
Oh, sure. Right. The biggest one, I do a lot of bears, cats. For this one, I did a deer, a raccoon,
Are you talking about the crocheted
and
ones?
a fox. No,
No.
for the sewing ones.
The sewing ones.
Crochet,
Okay.
I do anything because where I use other people's patterns. I
Okay.
can
So let's
do
start
anything.
over.
Okay.
The big ones.
The big ones?
Yeah.
Bears are very popular. Cats. I just did this raccoon. He's a new one. Foxes, deer. People really like goblins. I make some goblins and people like those. I have a general pattern and then I can turn it into most animals.
Yeah.
From
So
there.
goblins, I think, would be appropriate for Halloween.
They are, but people actually love them all the time.
Is that right?
Yeah, they're whimsical.
Right. They are whimsical, and I'm sure you make them that way. And so those are your sewn ones.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, how about the crocheted ones?
The crochet ones is a much wider variety I can make.
So can you tell us a few of them?
So for winter, I focused on some forest animals. So we had bears, moose, raccoons, fox, deer. Again, axolotl is very popular.
Yeah.
I use snakes. I did Christmas pickles. People loved Christmas pickles.
What is that?
So it's a tradition where there's a pickle-shaped ornament that you hide in your tree,
Oh.
and then whoever finds it on Christmas gets a special gift.
Oh.
So people were really excited to see crocheted pickles.
I see.
I have a lot of dogs and cats. I try to cover a lot of dog breeds so that people can find their own, someone who looks like their own pet. So.
Oh, so you do them in different colors.
Oh yeah, of course.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So what does the future look like for you?
I don't know. Hopefully, I can keep doing this for a long time.
Right. And you see this as a growing business.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. And what resources contribute to that growth besides your website?
What do you mean?
Well, what do you mean? Oh, in other words, your business has grown, and part of it is because of making these on-site personal
Oh, yes.
sales, but also the website and your promotions and so forth.
Yes.
And you have this communications background, so have you thought of other ways that you could use those skills to market your products?
One thing I would love to do is, if I'm making my own crochet patterns as well, is maybe focus on certain characters as opposed to just every animal. Make certain characters, and I would love for them to be stories about them to make them a little more personal as
Yes.
well.
Okay. Well, that's what I was getting at, I guess. Because have you thought about creating stories, little books to go along with the animals?
Yes, I certainly have. That's actually one of the reasons I went to school for writing in the first place, is I wanted to do children's books. So that's definitely something that's on the table. Maybe not right away, but
Have you started creating any?
no, I mean, I used to do that a lot before I had my son. I think writing is a little bit more difficult with
Sure.
a kid around, but maybe as he gets older, that'll be something that time opens up for.
Well, I'm sure that you have a lot of ideas.
Yes.
And don't these little guys give you ideas? I mean, you look at them and I'm sure what a personality.
Yeah, they all have their own little faces and everything.
Face is so cute. Yeah. And I love the way you put the black on the bottom and his
thank
bottom
you.
like that too.
He looks like my dog.
He does.
Yeah, he was based on mine.
So your dog is the prototype.
For that one, yes.
Yeah. Well, I would think that if somebody could purchase it and then a book to go with it, especially from the first person, if you wrote in the first person. How's
Yeah.
that for an idea?
Yeah, you could be right.
So when the parent would read the book, and the book would be the animal speaking, and then the kid would be holding the animal, and then the mother would read or the father would read, and the animal would be talking.
I think that's a great idea.
Thank you. I will take no commission. But I think that might improve sales too, because I think that whole concept can be very compelling, especially for little kids. when you want them to love animals and nature, but also love to read.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and then there's going to come a time when that child, if another child comes along, then that child could be reading to that next child or the third one.
Yes.
We hope you only have two to replace yourselves, right? The planet doesn't need any more kids, more than two. Years ago, there was an organization called Zero Population.
Oh.
And my husband and I were members. That's why we only have two. Because the whole idea was to if you replace yourself, then the population stays stable.
Yes.
Yes. And now we are so many people in the world. What is it, 8 billion? Something like that. Oh, who can keep track? Well, anyway, so any parting words? What would be your pitch to parents and grandparents out there to want to consider one of your products? What would you say?
That's a tough one. I mean, honestly, stuffed animals, you don't have to pitch them too hard. People love them. So I haven't actually thought of that. I guess I would say...
well, you're going to just tell my audience why they should pay attention to Snuggle Bucket Plush. I'm going to repeat that. Snuggle Bucket Plush. And why they should pay attention, why they should go online and check your stuff out. I'm sure you have lots of photos.
I do. I think I try to make sure that there's something for everyone, whether that's texture or price point. And they're just like a classic toy that even adults love.
And what's the duration? These they look as if they could last forever, that they would be a long time pal for children.
Yeah, so I do test them pretty rigorously, and they pass all their seam tests and everything required by the government. But also, my son has several of them that he doesn't play gently with, and he's had them for years, and they're no problem. They're still intact.
And how does one, can you throw it in the washing machine?
I think technically you can. I would start with surface washing by hand.
Right.
But I don't think there's any reason they couldn't go in the washing machine. It's more of their stuffing wouldn't be as fluffy.
Oh, okay.
So I would open with surface cleaning and see if that gets the job done.
Okay, so maybe you might want to do some testing in the washing machine.
Yeah, I personally haven't put any in the washing machine. I always wash them by hand. I guess I don't recommend that you put them in the washing machine.
Yeah.
But if it was a real problem, I think you could give it a shot.
Give it a shot, yeah. But the surface is it's nubby, but it's smooth.
Yes.
So I would think surface washing would be do the job really well. Yes. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Susan Perreault, for being on the show. And you are the Cardozas have been part of this family in Easton for many, many years. And to tell you the truth, we both lived on Seaver Street.
Really?
I came back to Seaver Street 21 years ago to the home my parents built. And I'm at the end of Seaver, and the Cardozas were at the juncture of Reynolds and Seaver.
Yes.
And so...
I love that house.
So, yes. So Mark and Peter, and then there were some more siblings. Philip,
yes.
Yeah, grew up there. And I guess I'm too old to have been a playmate, but I knew all about them, and I knew the parents. They were wonderful people, the Cardozas. Lovely, lovely neighbors. Thank you for joining me today, Priscilla Almquist-Olsen and Susan Perreault. Thank you so much for joining us, and until next time, be well.
Community Forum is sponsored by the Easton Grange 196 and a friend of Yardley Wood Rink and the Easton Lions Club.